Like, it is crazy how clear this is, and I haven't done anything to it. It's still on the build plate. I mean, you can see the scratches on my plate. Let's just look at that. And that's directly on the plate. Alright, look what just came in the mail. Same day Prime. Thank you, Amazon. You are a savior. But it is the iFun High Clear Resin. So this is my first time actually using this particular resin. I've had some transparent ones in the past, but this is supposed to be the best based on what I've read and seen, you know, at least in this price range, for about 36 bucks for 500 grams. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go ahead and let my Mono X finish up with this water washable Rich Opto White. Just running some final prints on that. Once that's done, I'm going to clean out the vat. I'm going to put some new PTFE lubricant on the FEP. Dump a little bit of this in. Not too much, since it is clear. I don't want to create a whole bunch of other issues. And then I'm going to run the RERF on that guy, and I will make sure to get back with you guys on what I found was the best on my settings. So yeah, pretty excited. We'll see how she goes. Okay, so I went ahead and let these guys dry. Kind of drip dry there in the washing gear. But like, it is crazy how clear this is, and I haven't done anything to it. It's still on the build plate. I mean, you can see the scratches on my plate. Let's just look at that. And that's directly on the plate. I'm gonna go ahead and get these off here, and then we can take a little bit of a closer look at these, and I will throw a macro lens on my camera here so we can look at them really close in detail, figure out what exposure we need to be using. This would be a good time to talk about something that I hope nobody is doing, but you absolutely should never print your design or your figure, whatever you're doing, directly on the build plate. I don't know, I've never had issues with other resin, you know, pulling it off, but I hardly ever use this particular print because I use a lot of the same resin, and I can kind of tell what I need to do, you know. But without a raft around a support or whatever it is that you're printing, this stuff sticks. And yeah, I broke a lot of them, but it took a crap ton of force to get these off, and when I'd get underneath half of them and pry it up. So I think if anything, that actually speaks to the strength of this resin, because that is absolutely crazy. So first thing I want to talk about is the clarity of this. See if I can get the focus. I haven't done anything to these. I just peeled them off the plate. I haven't put clear coat on them. I haven't done anything. If I put clear coat on these, they're gonna look almost crystal clear. I mean, just look through that. That's insane. Even the part that was on the bill plate, which is all scratched up from use, because I don't use a Wham Bam plate or anything. I mean, just look how clear that is. If you're looking for a resin to make visors or anything that needs to be transparent, I would have a hard time believing that there's going to be anything better than this, especially at this price point. But man, that's incredible. So I'm going to go through these and try and figure out exactly which one is best. All 8 of them printed successfully. So we're going to have to start looking at fine details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 and I'm going to take 8. So I want to say that this one is 0.8 seconds. And then this one is, I want to say it's 3.5, somewhere in that range. It's high for a mono X at least. And just take a look at a couple different areas to try and identify exactly what's kind of best here. So grab these quick. So first thing I want to look at, because it's right here on the front, is going to be the Amerilabs logo. And yeah, I can read it. It's not too bad. Let me turn this light a little bit. There. Yeah, I can read it. It's definitely overexposed. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, and you look at all these, they were obviously sticking. I mean, space between the buildings all looks pretty good. The back here, it's gonna be hard to see on camera, but looking at the checkerboard pattern with the holes, those all look pretty good. Looking at these holes here, it's hard with clear resin, but you're just gonna take my word for it that even at the highest exposure time, this looked pretty good. It is a little goopy because I haven't cured it. I didn't want to have any chance of anything shrinking, cracking, but it is pretty soft. But I mean, overall, pretty soft. Definitely overexposed though. So then if we look at number 1 though, which obviously should be mostly underexposed, but closer to probably where we want to be. Looks like the pillars in here. Yeah, we even got the last row there. They're definitely a little, trying to separate them so you guys can see. I mean, they're definitely not perfect, but I mean, they're all there, so looks pretty good. The Amerilabs logo, definitely clear. If anything, maybe underexposed a little bit, but I mean, do you see how clear this stuff is? Look at that, that's insane. Like, that's freaking crazy for not having done anything with it. I am gonna make some freaking awesome dice with this resin. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna kind of look at these pillars to try and identify what's gonna be the best. If I had to guess for how long I've been doing this and looking at these and using them, I'm thinking that 1.6, 1.7 seconds is gonna kind of be the sweet spot here. I mean, this is really good. There's not really extra material that built up in here, and that's where clear resin, it's tough, you know, because it's showing the UV through the resin that it's already cured. It's really, really easy to get a bunch of excess built up, especially in like small crevices like in between the buildings. There's one in particular that always sticks to the other one if you have it just a little bit, and it's this one right here. And you can see there's a gap there, but you can kind of see that there's some semi-cured resin, and again, we would typically see that on an opaque resin. If it was, if it was overexposed because all that goopy resin that was still in there, it hasn't cured completely, but it's kind of stuck in there. It doesn't drip out on the retract. But I think with clear resin, it's going to happen almost no matter what, because you're going to have resin trapped in there, and the UV light's going to go through the layer that you just cured. And when things are that close together, I think that it's just the nature of the beast. But I mean, that's acceptable. It's easy to clean off. If I had just taken a toothbrush to this, that wouldn't have been there. So I'm liking this kind of this number 3, 1.6 seconds. If we look at number 4, let's look at the spindles. That one almost looks even better too. Yeah, they're still a little, but they're all there. They're all there, but you can see, it's hard to see. These last two, the long ones, are stuck together. So there's a couple different reasons that could happen, but I think this is where we need to be. And I want to say it's somewhere around about 2 seconds, give or take. So I'm thinking that's where we should be at. I'm gonna look right now what that one's at. So number 4 is 2 seconds on the dot. So that's what I'm gonna run with, because I think anything past that and you start seeing some overexposure issues like this one, those spindles are actually missing on that last row. You see that? They're completely missing. And pretty much every single one of them from this point on is like that. So I like that 2 seconds. I think 2.4 is just, that's what number 5 is just too much. So I'm not even going to do any more testing. I'm just going to go with the 2 seconds with test number 4, and I'm going to print me some dice. I will get back with you guys after a short little dice building montage. To film this before I even took it off here, but this is how that flower vase lamp turned out. This is directly out of the IPA bath. Let me move these guys out of the way. I mean, you can see just how crazy clear that is, and I haven't even put clear coat or anything on it, and it's starting to dry. But a little bit of yellowing, but that could just be because I did turn the exposure up just a little bit. Like probably, I was going to go with 1.8, I think is what I decided I was going to go with. I put this one up to 2.1 just to ensure that I didn't have any failed supports. And I mean, none of them failed. I even kind of overdid it on the supports. But I just wanted to be sure that this wasn't going to fail so that I could just keep printing with it and kind of work my way downwards. So I'm going to get this off the supports, get it dried up, and then we can take a look at it as well as some of the other things that I did that actually sprayed with lacquer and how those turned out. There is a fundamental that you need to understand about clear resin. And if you look at the slow-mo shots, you'll notice that you can see the blue UV light actually shine up through the whatever you're printing throughout the entire process. So if you go a little crazy on supports, which normally with clear resin, I don't print stuff like this, but if you go a little bit too heavy with the supports, everything that you're printing comes out basically fully cured. If I put this in my wash and cure, it's not going to get any harder than this. So obviously, if you've ever been someone who has left your supports on, cured your print, and then tried to remove them, that's when you really start leaving lots of pitting and pieces of the supports behind. And that's what's happening here. Not because I cured it, but because it cured itself throughout the pinning process, is acting as a light absorption through it, because it is so clear. So just understand that when you're printing things like dice, for example, You know, that's one of those things that you're going to sand down so you can put the supports in there and you can get a lot of the pitting here, and they're all flat surfaces for the most part, whereas here this would be really hard to sand down. So you kind of got to pick and choose your battles with that, and either go with a lower exposure time or just really go light on the supports, and expect to do some cleanup work. But that's not the resin's fault. That's just the nature of printing with a clear resin. So this just took the supports off, as many as I could for right now, and you can see just how clear it is. But when you go ahead without even sanding and add lacquer to it or some form of clear coat, so this is what it looks like before the clear coat, that's what it looks like after the clear coat. I didn't do any wet sanding whatsoever. And again, let me grab my Signum card so you can see. So I didn't do any sanding on this whatsoever, and you can legit read words through the dice. That's incredible. A little bit of yellowing, but I'm pretty sure if I would have just sprayed UV protectant on it right away, I probably wouldn't have got that, because if you look at the difference between the RERF that I ran, so this one was put into the curing station and then sprayed with clear coat, this one was not. You can see, you know, obviously the clear coat makes it more clear, but because I cured it, there's a little bit more yellow to it. And you can also see the difference here, that that's not fully cured. This one is. I'm pushing pretty hard. So, but one thing I'm noticing, this stuff is incredibly strong. This is the strongest clear resin that I've ever used, once it's fully cured. If it is not fully cured, it is incredibly pliable. I would not be doing this with any other print. So this is, you know, right off the bed. This is clear coat and cured. And I mean, I can't. Did you see how far that bent before it finally broke? That's insane. For only, you know, a 1/2 mil thick piece, how strong that is. So I honestly think that this has substantially more use cases in terms of it just being a clear resin. It is an incredibly strong resin. So that's kind of cool, because you could do just about anything with it. You could do some more structurally, you know, needed miniatures or whatever it might be. You're still going to get the detail that you want, but at the same time, I mean, it's clear. You think about how many different windows that opens for you. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, I just want to do a quick review on this. It's an incredible resin. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a clear. This is definitely your best bang for your buck, and I have not had one that performed this well up to this point. So iFun, fantastic job, and I will definitely be getting more of this once this bottle's gone. So thank you guys for watching. Starting to cool down outside, so hopefully we'll actually have some random weekend adventures. But I will just keep posting some 3D printing videos continually each week, and hopefully they're out there helping somebody or answering questions that maybe you guys have. But if there's anything you'd like to see me print with this resin, post it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can keep updated on all the crazy cool things that I've been doing. So thank you guys. Take care.